rather than thinking about the result that you want, I want to swim in the Olympics or have a gold medal, or I want to, lose 100 pounds or whatever, just flip the script and focus, instead of focusing on the outcome, focus on the identity. So it's like, well, who is the type of person that could swim at the Olympics? Well, clearly it's the type of person who trains every day. So then just start focusing on training every day and building that identity, and then let whatever results happen emerge naturally from there.
Yeah. It's so critical, because so many people never change, I think, in their life, because they just want to, but they don't actually start taking it. They feel like they're not ready. I guess it's like, once I feel like I'm this, then I'll start doing that. But it's, I think probably the most valuable skill I ever learned in life is to do things without motivation. And that's, that's it. And then you eventually get the motivation, hopefully, but wow.
I had a moment like that early on in my writing career. I was talking to a friend who's another author, and he had already written multiple books. And I told him, I essentially said what you just raised, which is that I like writing, but I only do it when I feel inspired. Like every now and then I get this kind of like burst of motivation, or an idea strikes me, and I feel like I have this creative muse. I'm like, yeah, I need to sit down and write. So I was like, but I also feel like that's when I do my best work. So what do you think of that idea? And he said, well, that makes sense. I only write when I feel motivated too, but it just happens to be every day at 8 a.m. And I was like, yeah, like this is the difference between professionals and amateurs, right? Like exactly. Amateurs do things when it's easy, or when they're motivated, or when they feel inspired, and professionals show up and work on a schedule. And adopting that mindset, you don't need to do that with everything in life. But with the things that are important to you, if they're, I'd say there are like 2 or 3 areas that you really want to make progress on, you need to act like a pro. You can't just do it when it feels easy. And in many ways, doing it when it's not easy is more important, even if it doesn't get you the results.
Exactly. Yeah. War of Art was a huge influence on my thinking a lot, just about that. And you're so right about that whole idea of like, it's like sometimes when it's hard and I'm doing it, I'm thinking this is the only time that it really counts, because this is when it's like, you've actually melted the gold. You can actually get the skim the gold, because it takes that fire. Like it's like, and I also remind myself of this, like when it's hard, this is who I really am. Like when it's easy, it's not who you really are. It's when it's hard. Yeah. This is your real personality. This is your real grit level. This is your real motivation level. This is who you are. And it's also the only time you can change that and grow it and shape it. So I'm like, okay, well, this is really hard today, but I'm growing as a person today. I'm becoming what I want to become. So yeah.
I love, I kind of feel like everything can be equated to the gym. And so I like thinking about like that and how it translates to these larger philosophies. But imagine if I only went to work out on days when I felt like I could hit a PR, or like, put up a big lift. That would make no sense, because you would never be able to lift that weight because you weren't training in the meantime. If you only went to the gym once a month or once every 3 weeks when you felt fresh, it was like, well, that defeats the purpose. And so in that way, you can only have the peak moments if you're willing to show up for all the other ones in between.